I built a six-figure brand, lost it, rebuilt it, and nearly broke myself in the process. Entrepreneurship isn't hard because of the work. It's hard because no one teaches you how to move with law. These are the 10 brutal truths I learned the hard way. If you're trying to escape your 9-to-5 or grow your brand and you feel like you're drowning, watch this video and then grab the Unruly Blueprint. It's not a PDF. It's the system that would have saved me from 3 years of chaos. The link is in the description below. Here's the first brutal truth. The first brutal truth is that motivation is a drug. And the only way you get rid of motivation as your drug is to implement structure, right? Use the laws of the realm to implement your structure, which is mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. When you have a centralized goal, understanding what you're in entrepreneurship for and what problem you're trying to solve, because when you're an entrepreneur, the only thing you're doing is solving problems. So when you understand exactly what that goal is, you put it at the top of the key, which is mentalism, right? Trumps all the other laws. You understand what you're trying to do and you align your actions in accordance with that goal. What will then happen is that you're going to end up in front of hurdles over and over and over. And you're going to look for motivation with gurus. You're going to watch YouTube videos. You're going to go on Instagram Reels. You're going to go on TikTok. You're going to find motivation. And all this motivation is going to do is give you almost like a stimulant hit so that you can continue. You're going to be tired and sluggish, but then you're going to hear that motivation and keep going. Yeah. But don't get addicted to it. Because what addiction does, it'll have you delaying the things that you know you should be doing on weeks on end. Right? Because you need the motivation to push. And there are going to be days where you listen to YouTube videos after a while and your tolerance has gone up. You can no longer find the motivation you once did in YouTube videos. Right? It's just not going to work. And so you have to find structure. When I was at Coke, I was tired as fuck coming home. I used to put those gurus in my ear from YouTube on my way back home. And what happens is that you get home and you feel all the energy. You have all of the hype almost. Right? And as soon as you step through the door and you get your first hurdle, which is now it's time to actually work, right? Now it's time to go to the gym. Now it's time to actually stay on a routine or a structure that's disciplined to get the things that you know you need to get done. That's your first hurdle. And therefore, when you leave that chaotic world of your 9-to-5 and come back to do your 5 to 1 in the morning, right? That is when shit hits the fan and no longer is motivation the driver. You are. Structure is required, right? And that's why I preach structure so hard because listen, motivation is not going to get you through, right? You have to build from a lawful state and pressurize it with your masculine discipline to continue even when you don't feel like it. Point 2 is that income doesn't mean you're free, right? When I hit my first 10K or above 10K, right? It felt amazing because you just 10x your income. I went from $3,000 to $30,000. A lot of you might have heard me say the story. When you hit that, it's not a jackpot. When you hit that level of income increase, you feel free, but you're not yet free. You're going to be alone. Like you're going to be the only person that is there because you don't know anybody else to help you. You can't go from one-man team to a 10-man team overnight. No, but the money comes like that. So when the money comes, it's like, oh shit, now I'm actually in business. I have to figure this out. And when you start to figure it out, you're going to go through some hard times because now the money's still coming in and you still have to fulfill what you promised the clients that you could fulfill, but you're going to do it alone while also looking for a team to help you out, right? And so what the money then becomes is like a trap. It's almost like a cage. Because like I said before, you will put yourself in a cage. And so when you get all this money in the world or get a big increase in money, you turn into a glorified slave. So you go from 9-to-5 to self-employed. That's the journey of the entrepreneur. You go from 9-to-5, if you're doing it from the bootstraps. If you have like funding from VCs and whatnot, then that's different. But if you're doing it from your bootstraps, which I implore everybody to do because it gives you the best character development that you'll ever experience in your life, and you'll feel more fulfilled because you created it from nothing. And then you understand that your brain is the most powerful thing on the planet. But anyways, you go from being alone to now being alone with no real income because your 9-to-5 isn't really feeding you correctly. And then you jump in as self-employed and now you're making 30 to 40K a month. And now it's like, oh shit, I actually need to produce. And so you're going to work and work and work 10 times harder than you did when you were at your 9 to 5. You're going to work maybe double. So 80 hour weeks is the new minimum, right? Because now you're going up against sharks in the ocean and you're just a guppy, right? So you have to work to keep up to some degree, because even at your best, you're probably doing their worst day, right? So when that money comes, it feels like you're a glorified slave because you're getting all the money, but you're working 10 times harder, bro. And so that cash without control is just golden slavery. You shouldn't feel too happy just yet. Invest that cash. If you're going to take my advice, invest that cash into getting a team around you as quickly as possible. And as soon as you get the team, understand that if they fuck up, if they don't follow the vision, if they don't execute at the level in which you know needs to be executed to keep the cash flow coming in, get rid of them as quickly as possible. You will waste time trying to train and help people that are a lost cause to the vision that you are executing on. The next thing that's really, really hard to comprehend, and that's probably it's one of the more emotional ones, is that you're going to outgrow everybody. You're going to outgrow your friends. You're going to outgrow your family. You're going to outgrow your girlfriend. You're going to outgrow every human being that your old identity was attached to. The person I was at my 9 to 5, putting up bottles on the shelf, can't even breathe the air I breathe at today. It just cannot. That human being is not even close to who I am today. And everybody who understood and knew that 9 to 5 guy understands this guy is not the same. He's not. Because you can't speak to this guy because this guy has gone through too much transformation, self-development, character molding experiences. And you're going to go through that too when you jump in entrepreneurship, because at the base level, the box that you were in your 9 to 5, that capped your capability to understanding your true power, leaves, that box breaks, and therefore anybody who is around you who tries to speak to you as if you're still in that box, you no longer feel comfortable around. You no longer feel comfortable around speaking about money to family and friends because they don't understand it, right? You go from making 3,000 to 30K in 28 days, right? And of course, there's compounding factors that come with all of the work that you did to get to that point. But you get to a place where you go from 3,000 to 30,000. And that is something that people can't comprehend because they're limiting themselves to the box that they live in. And they're not really tapping into the real creative power of abundance that comes with them, because they don't want to do the hard work that it takes to get through. And the hard times that you're going to go through are going to mold a different character, a different person, and almost give you the new identity that is capable of holding that level of abundance. And that level of abundance can't be held in a box like your friends, your family, your loved ones. And so you're going to outgrow them. And so you're going to feel isolated for a bit there. And that might not go away, because that same isolation that you're going through is the same thing that's going to continue to elevate you. Because it's not that your entrepreneurship life stops when you start to outgrow people, it continues. Right? And therefore, people who are still living in that box will continue in the direction that they're going, but you're taking a different route, right? And you're always going to look to sharpen your sword if you want to really be a monster in business. When I say monster, I mean be one of the greats. And if that's your desire, you have to know that self-development, self-mastery, and these things are the foundation to why your business is going to work the way it works in the best way. And you're going to be able to sieve out all the bullshit that comes with these gurus online and those spiritual gurus that tell you the namaste and all that. That's why you see me mock them all the time. Because when you just start out and you're still in that box, you think that manifestation is sitting there raising your frequency by chanting a sound. No, right? You can do all those things, but you have to move. Right? You have to commit an action towards your goal. And as you commit an action, you're going to go through hardship. You're going to live through some serious things where maybe you lose a lot of money. Maybe you go back down and you scrape the floor. But when you scrape the floor, and I used to speak about this 8 months ago, when you're flying the plane and you finally get off the ground and there's a missile that says you need to be grounded because that plane is on a way to destruction. right? And you end up crashing the plane and going back down and having to rebuild it. That is what I'm talking about. When you survive those ups and downs to make a better plane and a better entrepreneur and a better you, to be able to soar at higher altitudes than everybody that you've ever been around, that is where all of this elevation or all of this isolation is trying to take you, right? So take the time and understand that when you really set out to be an entrepreneur, you're going to lose all of the people around you simply because you do not fit in that box anymore, and you are going to be heavily misunderstood. Heavily. 4, your nervous system is going to be your business partner, right? There are deals where I'm closing deals for $100,000 for the year, right? So I'm taking in $100,000 spread out across a year. And when you start to get big deals like that, you have to be able to keep your nervous system neutralized. Because when you get deals like that, a lot of folk are going to get, like, you're going to get skittish. You're going to feel, oh my God, I just closed this deal. Whoa, I was just making $30,000 a year, $40,000, $50,000 a year. And now I just closed a $100,000 deal with one client. One client, right? So when you start to see those deals in the beginning, it's like, oh my God, and they just get bigger. Like, the deals don't get smaller, the deals get bigger because you start to conquer bigger problems. And you start to understand the value gap that much better and understand yourself better. So that's why your nervous system has to be intact. And not only that, not only for the ups, there are going to be tremendous downsides too. Because there's going to be months where you make a lot of money and maybe, hey, you closed deals for 6 months, right? The 6-month deals are now running out, and now you're on your 7th month, and now you've closed nothing within the last 6 months because maybe you were on a high horse and you didn't really close any sales because you thought this money would continue going, and therefore then you maybe overextend yourself, right? Because a lot of us have that tendency to always think that we're going to be in a position of scaling, and you're not. And so I've done it. I've overextended myself to where, oh shit, I don't have money the way that I thought it was coming in the 7th month that I did in the past previous 6 months. Fuck, I've overextended myself. Damn, now there's less money coming in. You might go from $40,000 to $17,000 a month. And now that gap of $23,000 is causing you to have a deficit. You go into debt real quick. And it's like, fuck, how do you stay neutral? How do you still continue pushing forward? How do you still operate? Because the average human is going to collapse under that sort of pressure. When you have a nervous system that is neutral, right, and pressurized by law, understanding what your goal is and making sure that all your actions are leading up towards that goal, you then become numb to all of these external factors because you have a structure put in place, and also your nervous system is calibrated with where you're trying to go. Therefore, when you go into debt, it doesn't shock you. It's just a part of the path. People that are successful don't follow the rules. We literally don't, right? Because it's scientifically impossible to follow the rules of society and become successful. How do you think people become successful, right? They can deal with the ups and downs of life along with all of the shit that comes with being successful, right? There's a success tax. You're going to lose a bit of skin. You're going to have to ruffle your feathers a bit. You're going to lose some flesh along the way. But at the end of the day, you come out standing with a little bit of bruising and some scars. And you'll remember those scars, and those are the same scars that will keep you from losing flesh later down the road. So it's just a path that we all have to go through. And so understand that your nervous system has to be calibrated correctly so that you can make it through without quitting before you get to where you're looking to get. 5, content is cash flow. It is imperial. It is the number one thing that I wish I started earlier, right? And people neglect it. You think that because you're making $30K a month that it's going to stay like that forever. No, and when you're looking to really scale, I mean really scale up into those high 6 figures, 7 figures, that's when content actually becomes your resume. It literally is your resume. And I tell y'all, you need to make content all the time. Don't stop. No matter how hard it is, document every problem, document every situation, right? Because those situations that you overcome when you're a solopreneur, like when you're by yourself, those are the very things that you're going to make SOPs out of, right? Your systems of operation you're going to give to your team members that will see the vision and understand the struggles you got through, and then see the processes that you went through even when you were under pressure, which will then keep them in ordinance with where you're trying to go. And even it's just good for moral support because, like I said before, you're going to lose all those people from your life. And now you've only got yourself, right? So you're outside of the box of tradition that the people that you used to know and the people that were your immediate circle used to be. And then when you separate yourself, it's only you alone. And when you have these videos to look back on of you speaking to yourself, right, and getting through, that is when things change because now you're leaning on yourself in the old versions or the versions of you that got through very serious problems to get through the new problems that come into your life. There are videos and there are things in my journal that I still read to calibrate my mind and understand that everything's going to be fine, even when things look dark and bleak, right? So when you have this content as your backing and as your friend, you're basically your own friend, and you have social proof that you can show people like, yeah, I did this and I got out here, right? And I've helped this company and done this and testimonials and all of these things all around content. That builds a rounder you, like a fluid version of yourself on all platforms. Because now people have seen your story, they understand where you're coming from, they understand your mission, they understand how good your product is. And even if when the content matches up to your professionalism and it's like across the board the same, we can trust you, right? Have you ever seen those huge companies that have terrible content or terrible website or terrible presentation digitally? It creates a little lack of trust in every user that sees them, right? So when you take the time to actually use content in the way that it's supposed to be used, it will generate cash flow for you like sometimes better than your business does, right? And so you have to then start you're going to have to start constructing your business and rerouting it into the digital space around content. If this is hitting, pause, click the blueprint below. It'll show you exactly how to build your own system without hype and without burnout. The link is in the description below. And so the next thing, and I tell you all to practice silence all the time because it's a real thing. When you go silent, you're going to be misunderstood. There are going to be periods of time where you have to isolate yourself against the world. Like you cannot enter the civilian life. You can't. There are times where you have to shut down all boxes. And some of y'all call it monk mode. Some of y'all call it locking in, whatever the fuck it is. There are times where you just have to go silent, go dark. And no one's going to understand what you're doing. No one's going to understand why you're not coming to family gatherings. No one's going to understand why you're not coming to weddings. No one's going to understand why you're not doing certain things. But you have to do it. Because there are pivotal moments where you understand, like, if I don't move right now, I'm not going to get the potential in the movement that I'm looking to get, right? So when law tells you to move in a direction of silence and darkness where no one gets access, you have to do so. You have to. And the better you are at understanding that feeling and that understanding, right? There's an energetic signature to that feel, and you're going to get it. And when you feel it, you have to move. Shut the fuck up. Turn your texting off. Don't FaceTime anybody. And I just, like, to be completely transparent, I just did it to get another monumental leap that I'm looking for in my business, right? I did the same thing and I'm still in it, right? And it's been about 6-7 months now. So it's the same. When you get that feeling, bro, I promise you, just move, because those are the times where you go from 6 to 7 figures. And then when you get to 7 figures, you go from 7 to 8 figures from the things that you're learning within that darkness. So don't allow people to draw you back out. And it's going to be real difficult if you don't understand that you're going to be misunderstood. People are not going to know why. They're going to feel personal. It's going to feel like a personal shot to them because they don't even understand who you are, right? So allow them to be them, but allow your understanding of where you're going to take full embodiment over you, right? And go dark, because no one's going to clap when you disappear to build. Nobody. But when you come out and you soar like a motherfucker is when they see you and they're like, oh, I see. That's why he went dark. And then everyone starts to reappear, right? But you yourself understand how you got through and how what you're going through brought you to the next level in the next chapter. So don't fear silence. Just understand that you're going to be misunderstood, and that's okay. And 7, you don't need time, right? You don't need time. You need systems. I wasted years, bro. So I've been in the content space for 8 years, right? And there are times where I regret those breaks that I had to try new shit. Because had I started and stayed on YouTube from the time I started to now, a whole different ball game, right? But there are times where I started YouTube, got shiny idea syndrome, and saw a business idea that I wanted to try, then go try this thing, right? Then I stop and try something else, right? Do it again, do it again, do it again, just to end up back in square one, doing the thing that my spirit and my soul was drawing me to from the first time I picked up a camera. So you go through these spirals if you allow yourself to. It's not that you need more time to try everything. No, you need one system. It only takes you one time. Like, you only have to hit and go big once. And usually that's the people that find the most fulfillment and are very successful are the ones who follow that gut feeling the second it comes onto you, right? Because it's so easy to get distracted in today's world. We have all of the things going on in social media. From, you can be into crypto, you can be a day trader, you can be into content, you can be a UGC creator, you can be a brick and mortar business, you can do real estate, you can do this, you can do this, that. It's endless. Pick a channel, monetize it, take that money, push it into the next channel you're interested in, and build that way. You can't conquer all systems at once. And therefore, you must start to understand, get one channel to cash flow. As soon as it starts to cash flow, start distributing it to the next channel that you find interesting. What do I mean? If you find content is the way that you want to monetize your life and monetize in general, just because you have a itching for it, or your soul tells you like, yo, you should pick up a camera, and you find that you're very readily easy to jump on a camera and you're just fine and you can speak and you can do whatever in front of a camera, maybe you are supposed to be in content, right? And then you take that very serious. You devote yourself to an actual system that will help you cash flow within content. You take the money that the content world gives you, and then, hey, next thing you know, you're ready to go into trading. Trading, you now have some capital from your content. You take it over to trading, you put it in, and then you start learning the system of trading. You see how that works? Now, not only are you cash flowing in one that you know is a skill, you're learning because you took some cash flow from one skill, brought it into a new skill, learn that skill, and now they're both paying you. And not only are they both paying you, they're both teaching you lessons about yourself in your own nervous system, which then you have double the opportunity to keep yourself neutralized, double the opportunity to have experiences that will alter the way that you think, double experiences to meet new people. And it just goes on and on and on. And then you become a great trader. And hey, maybe that's where you stop. Because trading makes you so much money, I really don't feel like doing anything else besides learning and experiencing my life and living my life, right? Hey, maybe you stop there, or you jump into the next thing. Maybe you get real estate, and now you're jumping in the real estate game. Now you got 3 different cash flowing systems in your thing. So realistically, you want to master one system. You don't need more time to just explore everything. You need one system, and you need that one system to cash flow. Simple means. And then you just do exactly what I said. Point 8 is one of my is probably one of my biggest lessons, is building fast is not the goal, building forever is. The interesting thing about this is the hustle culture sells speed, right? And the law that you're going to follow builds longevity. I'll give you a quick story. That first month in my agency, I did the 30K, and then I did 30K again and again. So I did it for 90 days. I did 30K, right? And so I'm like, okay, cool. Everybody was on a 90-day probationary period. I got this 30K coming in. How can we start to leverage other angles within the space of content, right? So I jumped into websites. Websites was another angle. So I started to go figure out how to hire people to build websites, right? And so I first started by building them myself, because again, you were solo for a second there. Right? And I start building the websites while also still completing the content space. So now you're overextending yourself to a degree, not fully getting people on board just yet. So month 4, of course, I think there was an increase to about like $40-something thousand. Okay, cool. And that's because you added another angle of your business. Now think about it. I thought it was just smart as fuck when I was a younger entrepreneur. I'm like, okay, cool. You're great at making content. Why don't you just take this content and push it? Because if you're already making the content for businesses, just make their website and then push the same content that you're making onto the website and help them out that way. And then you get paid passive income from maintenance fees and doing all these other things. Cool. So I start pushing that. You get 3, 4, 5 websites on your belt. And now, you're like, damn, I got to do this and that. And then you start to, and then I start to outsource, right? And so when you outsource, you have to really vet people to see if they work within your structure, because if they don't, they will ruin your whole entire system. So I start to do that, and now I'm building vertically before I'm building horizontally, because the smarter thing to do, even though it's bringing you an extra $15,000 a month in, what I should have done is gone horizontally. So understanding the content strategy that I was implementing into my business for other businesses, I should have then hired somebody that could then understand the same thing I did. Because realistically, you're going to be doing a lot of the shit by yourself. Then when the next person that you're going to hire is going to understand and be doing a lot of the same shit that you're doing. So it's going to be 2 people doing everything. Then you're going to start to look to specify on what people are doing. So I got 2 VAs. I think at the time I had 2 VAs, 3 videographers. Right, so that's realistically the base that you want to start with, is having those people. But in the beginning, I just went crazy vertical. I'm like, ooh, money, that's here. Let's do it. 30, 45, 50, 55, right? And now what happens is everything starts to become unstable, because you're stacking with no foundation that's broad. So then it topples over. And when it topples over fast. So you go from like $55,000 a month back down to 19. You're like, fuck, what did I do wrong? You did everything wrong, because you built faster because you wanted to hustle, and you wanted the bag, instead of understanding the overarching goal for why you started the business in the first place, which was to serve and bring value. Build for longevity. Do not build for speed and cash flow, right? 9 is that debt isn't only financial, right? It's mental and it's spiritual as well. I owed myself my own power, right? And most men do. So what does that mean? You're going to go into debt sometimes when you're an entrepreneur, and hell, you might go into a lot of debt and you will find your way out. There are many entrepreneurs that will not show you the dark sides of what happens behind the doors. Behind the doors, dark, deep, nasty, aggressive shit comes when it comes to debt in the life that you're trying to build outside of the system. When you are trying to build a life outside of the system that is given to you to be a slave, you have to deal with all of the fucking waves. That's why I call, when you jump off of one ship, you better have a ship ready to jump onto, right, that you've built. And when you're building that, it's going to be difficult. And these waves of debt may hit you because you're new, right? And so when you're new to these things, you're going to go into debt financially. But not only is that going to take a toll onto your bank account, which shouldn't really rattle you because you're an entrepreneur, but in the beginning it will, right? You're also going to take debt on for your mental clarity, and your mental health is going to go down to shits. Because now you're working 80 hours a week from going from 40. There is no time for days off. There is no, oh, this is just freedom and I get to live my life. Abso-fucking-lutely not. This is real business now. We are doing real things in the real world, and I have no safety net. That is the life of an entrepreneur. So your mental goes down because you understand you must work. And that's why I said, as a man, you have to find structure and build systems so that you don't have those mental crashes. You can go under stress and still be mentally good, right? Because after a long period of time, it just becomes just the life. And all business owners will tell you that. When you get to a certain space, like stress is still stress. Like stress is almost like expected, and then it just becomes your norm. And it just, like, your skin gets so thick that it doesn't really, you might be pissed off for a moment there, but it goes away quick as fuck too, because you've gone through hard shit already. So it's like little shit that may stress out people and even crumble others doesn't really affect you too much, right? And then spiritual debt is like when you understand that the money's coming in, but the business that you're doing doesn't serve you. And so then you really take on like this spiritual backlog because your spirit is craving for you to do the correct goal that you know you should be doing, but the money's good. So therefore, you just continue doing whatever the money is pulling you towards. And that's where they get that, if you're in a Ferrari, or you might be in a Ferrari crying and all that other shit. Well, yes, it's way better to cry in a Ferrari than it is to cry broke. Do understand that that comes with some spiritual debt. You might be leaving some shit unfulfilled, and then you feel unfulfilled because you came here to do certain things and you're just not fulfilling them, and you're just doing the life that you live and operating the business that you operate just for the money. And that's a hard thing to accept, especially when you went from $3,000 a month up to $100,000. It's hard because then you have to put that down and start over. Oof. It's a hard thing. So always understand that when your gut is telling you to do something or build a business in a certain area, you should just follow that, right? Because the pathway is going to be the same. It's still going to be hardship. You're still going to have hurdles to jump over. You're still going to have to do these things to become a better person to yourself and better at fulfillment for your clients. But whatever gut feeling you have and that heart and mind connection start to actually click, do not go against it just for the bag. Follow law, understand that those two, when they connect, follow it. And when you follow it, it will come out into your life tenfold. And you will not have this feeling of, oh, I don't feel fulfilled. No, you'll be fulfilled, very fulfilled, with heavy pockets too, I promise. So the tenth and the last lesson that I learned and wish I had learned is that law will save you, right? The day I stood on law, it gave me clarity, structure, and responsibility. And all of these things click. And they click when it's almost like the green light happens in your mind. You get like a very strong intuition hit. Like, yep, damn, how the fuck was I missing that? And then it all just starts to make sense. And then what happens is your life starts to feel like a, what do they call it? What the fuck do they call it? Oh, like a coincidence. You start to feel for everything. You're looking for it all. And then it all clicks. The clarity comes, the structure comes, the abilities come, the responsibility come. And then when you do all of it at once, it's all a green light, right? Everything starts moving in your favor. All of the doors start to open. All the opportunities come at you that you now have to sieve out and make sure that they're true opportunities. Everyone starts to see you as someone of value, right? All of these things will open up, and doors that you thought were closed will open up, and you'll just do things that will change your life forever. I've had some experiences that I thought I would never have, right? And I've lived through them. I've had them. They're amazing. I've met some amazing people I thought I would never meet. And it changes your positioning on life. One, you'll never go back to that box that you had. But two, you'll learn things about the world, and you start then to relax into your power once you have gone through these things. And you continue to grow. And then that's why you have to trust the structure that you've built and just expand on it when you get more abundance, because the more abundance you get requires a stronger structure. And the more you lean into law, the better it wields the outcomes that you're looking for. And you can live a full life, right? But in the beginning, it's going to be very unbalanced. You're not going to necessarily want to do the things you have to do, but you have to do them anyways, right? To wake up to the true value of yourself and the true skill sets that you have to let go of the old boy that's trying to keep you like tucked away, right? You're holding your power back for whatever reason, not too sure, but you want to fight through that and become who you're supposed to become, right? So fight all things that are going against your power. Fight all things that make you minimize yourself. Understand that the entrepreneurship is for the long haul, not the short, quick cash. And even if you blow up today with a bag, that doesn't mean that bag's staying with you forever. So you have to house it correctly. And if you're looking to jump into skills after skills, just make sure each one of those skills cash flow. But learn one channel of cash flow first, and then put it into building a structure that will last long term. And so your closing decree. Most men don't fail because of laziness. They fail because they never installed structure. You are not the exception. You are not above the law. If you feel like you're drowning, it's not because you're not good enough. It's because you're not moving with structure. Collapse the guesswork, take the blueprint, and build like a man who was never meant to lose. The link is in the description below. Consider yourself warned.